One night, a black restaurant owner struggling to keep his business alive saw a grandmother and her young grandson shivering in the cold. He opened his doors, gave them warmth, and served them a hot meal. He never imagined that this simple act of kindness would begin a chain of events that changed everything. Before we begin, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop a comment and let us know.
It was one of those nights where the city felt colder than it had any right to be. The streets were nearly empty, the wind whistled through the narrow alleys, and even the neon signs from late-night stores flickered as if shivering in the dark. Inside a small, dimly lit restaurant at the corner of Jefferson and Pine, Marcus Carter leaned his elbows on the counter, staring at the quiet street outside. Marcus was a tall, broad-shouldered black man in his early 40s, with tired eyes. That told the story of a dream that had been battered but never broken. He had poured every ounce of energy, every last dollar, and every hope he had into Carter's Diner, a restaurant he opened 3 years ago with the dream of serving his community, of creating a place where good food and kindness were always on the menu. But business hadn't been good. Bills piled up faster than customers walked through the door. The neighborhood had changed, the economy wasn't on his side, and sometimes Marcus wondered if he was foolish to keep trying. His friends had told him to close shop, to cut his losses, but Marcus always answered the same way. I didn't open this place just to make money. I opened it to make a difference. That night, though, as he counted the cash drawer and realized he didn't even make enough to cover the electricity bill, he wasn't sure if even he believed those words anymore. Then something caught his eye. Through the window in the pale glow of the street lamp, he saw an elderly woman clutching a thin, tattered coat around her shoulders. Beside her, a boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, hugged himself tightly, his little face red from the biting wind. They were sitting on the curb, trying to huddle close for warmth, their breaths visible in the frigid night air. Marcus's heart clenched. He stepped outside, the cold slapping him instantly. "Ma'am," he said gently, crouching down so he wouldn't scare the boy. "Are you two all right?" The woman looked up, her face lined with years of hardship, her eyes dim but still holding a spark of dignity. "We're fine," she whispered, though her lips trembled. "Just resting a bit." The boy didn't say anything. He just leaned into her, shivering harder. Marcus knew they weren't fine, not even close. "Come inside," he said. "Please. It's warm in there." The woman hesitated, glancing at the restaurant, then back at Marcus. "We don't have money, sir." Marcus shook his head. "Don't worry about that. Just come in." She studied him for a moment, as if searching his face for any hint of pity or hidden motive, but all she saw was sincerity. With a small nod, she helped the boy stand, and together they followed Marcus inside. The blast of warmth from the diner's heaters made the boy sigh with relief. Marcus quickly led them to a booth near the back and grabbed 2 mugs. "I'll get you some hot chocolate," he said. The woman placed a hand on his arm, her fingers frail and trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. Marcus smiled faintly. "No need to thank me. You look like you could use a good meal too." Soon he brought them steaming bowls of chicken soup and fresh bread from the kitchen. The boy devoured it so quickly that Marcus had to bring out a second bowl. Watching them eat, Marcus felt something stir inside him, a reminder of why he had opened this diner in the first place. When they were finished, the woman wiped her eyes with the corner of her coat. "We should go," she said softly. "But," Marcus shook his head, "you're not going anywhere tonight. You can stay here. I've got a cot in the back office. It's not much, but it's warm and it's safe." Her lips parted as if she wanted to argue, but no words came. Instead, tears welled up in her eyes. "I don't know why you do this for us." "Because it's the right thing to do," Marcus replied simply. That night, the grandmother and her grandson slept in the back of the diner, wrapped in clean blankets Marcus found. He lay awake in his small apartment above the restaurant, staring at the ceiling, wondering how the world could be so cruel to some, and how a small act of kindness could feel so monumental. He had no idea that this one decision would soon change everything. The next morning, Marcus made pancakes for the boy and coffee for the grandmother. They ate quietly, but Marcus noticed how the woman kept looking at him, as though memorizing his face. Before they left, she said, "You've given us more than food and shelter. You've given us hope." Marcus nodded. "Take care of yourselves." He thought that would be the end of it. Just a night of kindness, a memory to hold on to. But it wasn't. 2 days later, Marcus was flipping burgers when the diner door opened, and in walked the same woman, this time dressed in clothes that looked far less worn. Behind her was a man in a crisp suit, and trailing him was another, in an expensive overcoat. Marcus froze, spatula in hand. The woman smiled warmly. "Mr. Carter, this is my son David." She gestured to the man in the suit. "And this is his associate, Mr. Harlan." David extended a hand. "Mr. Carter, my mother told me everything you did. You gave her and my son shelter when they had nowhere else to turn. I can't thank you enough." Marcus shook his hand awkwardly. "It wasn't a big deal. I just did what anyone should do." David chuckled. "Most people wouldn't have. You see, my mother insisted on going for a walk that night without telling anyone where she was going. When we finally realized she and my son were missing, we were frantic. We searched everywhere. And then she came home the next morning, safe, because of you." Marcus blinked. "Your son?" The little boy peeked out from behind his grandmother, now dressed in clean, warm clothes. He smiled shyly at Marcus. "Yes," David said, "and my mother happens to be, well, she doesn't like to flaunt it, but she's the founder of one of the largest charitable foundations in the city. We've dedicated our lives to helping people in need, but that night she was the one who needed help. And you were there." Marcus's chest tightened. David continued, "We'd like to help you now. My mother told me about your restaurant, how you've been struggling to keep it alive. I want to invest in this place, expand it, turn it into something that can really serve the community the way you dreamed it could." Marcus felt his knees go weak. You want to invest? In Carter's Diner?" David nodded firmly. "Yes, we believe in paying kindness forward. And I believe in you." Over the next several months, everything changed. The foundation helped Marcus renovate the diner, new booths, better lighting, a modern kitchen. They even created a program where meals were offered free to anyone who couldn't afford them, funded entirely by the foundation. Word spread quickly, and soon Carter's Diner wasn't just a restaurant, it was a beacon of hope. People came, not just for the food, but for the atmosphere. Strangers sat together and shared stories. Families found relief in hard times. The walls of the diner echoed with laughter, gratitude, and the clinking of coffee cups. Marcus became more than just a restaurant owner. He became a leader in the community, a man known not for the money he made, but for the lives he touched. And every time he saw that grandmother and her grandson walk through the door, smiling and waving, Marcus felt a deep, unshakable truth settle in his heart. Kindness doesn't just change the lives of those who receive it. It changes the lives of those who give it. What began as one simple act, opening his doors on a cold night, became the spark that lit a fire of hope, generosity, and transformation. Marcus had once feared his dream was dying, but he realized now that dreams don't die when you hold on to them with faith. They grow, they spread, and they bloom in ways you could never imagine. And in that diner on the corner of Jefferson and Pine, Marcus Carter found not just success, but purpose. By the time his story spread across social media, drawing people from all over to witness the miracle diner, Marcus would often smile and say the same words whenever someone asked why he did what he did that night. Because it was the right thing to do. And in those words, there was power enough to change the world.